I'll be taking you guys on research methodology 2 class, the final year class, and I want to believe that at least for the two classes we have had, with some of us we've been able to grab what is the concept of research and methodology. Now we'll be going detailedly into the project work itself so that this can help you understand how to make a research and consequently help you to write a successful project. So chapter 2, we'll be looking at research problems. Of course, we have discussed some of this during our 2 classes or 3 classes we've had, but I'll be looking at it again and I'll be very fast about this because we are supposed to be running off the class. But for research class, you might still have about 2 classes more before we finally round off before your exam. And your supervisor would also be around to guide you in case you have been allocated your course. And if you have not, do not bother. We will be looking at that so that you all can be properly allocated your courses and your project topic rather. So let's say that research problem, you cannot start a research without knowing the problem you are trying to resolve. Research problem is a clear statement about an area of concern, a condition to be improved upon, a difficulty to be eliminated, or a troubling question that exists in a scholarly literature, in a theory, or within existing practice that points to a need for meaningful understanding and deliberate investigation. So you must understand you cannot conduct a research without answering what is the research problem. A researcher must define a research problem and formulate it in a way that the nature of the problem can be identified and come to solution to the problem. So because this would help you to eventually know where you are heading to. At the end of the project work, your research work, what you're going to be formulating, what you're going to be proposing, what you're going to be recommending as basis of the research conducted is going to be a solution to the research problem identified from the beginning of the research itself. So it's important a research problem refers to some difficulty which a researcher experiences in the context of either a theoretical or practical situation and want to obtain a solution for same. So we want to obtain a solution for same. That is the number one reason why we conduct the research. So let's look at a hypothesis. A hypothesis is a guess to the answer of the research problem. You are guessing. It's not confirmed. It's not exact. It's not confirmed. It is not an authority. It is not a globally accepted statement. So hypotheses are generated from theories. Research questions often attempt to refute, validate theories through testing of hypotheses. You cannot come to conformity except you have an hypothesis. So before you can present a case as valid, it must go through an hypothetical stage. That is the stage to which we can say that, oh, is that true or not? But let us further test it more. Just like the coronavirus vaccine now. Many who had claimed to discover it, the vaccine is still in its hypothetical stage. So once it has been tested of many victims and we've checked the side effects, that there's no side effect to these drugs, truly this vaccine can cure the virus, yet would not impose on the victim a further or chronic effect, then we can now say that the victim or the vaccine is confirmed and validated. Up until then, it is what hypothesis. So we need to understand what hypothesis means. The purpose of a problem statement is to one, introduce the importance of the topic being studied. Two, place the topic into a particular context that defines the parameter of which to be investigated. Three, provide a framework for reporting the report and indicate what is probably necessary to conduct this study and explain how the finding will present the information with this information. So selecting problem is very, very key. The following points may be observed by a researcher in selecting a research problem or subject for research. Selecting a research problem, subject for research. You see now, if I ask you guys to make a research for me, first you want to know why. If you come up with a topic and say this is a topic of for which you'll be researching, why are you researching it? If I say tell me research on the what the numbers of what's it called COVID-19 patients in Lagos. Why? Maybe you want to confirm if the statistics we are given is true, or there must be a reason why. So selecting problem. One, subject matter which is done before should be generally chosen, for it will be difficult task to throw a new light through an older problem. Controversial subject should not become the choice of an average researcher. Controversial subjects, you need to be careful. There are some topics that are highly controversial, mental, physical subjects, emotional subjects, religious matter. These political matters are highly controversial. So researchers should not make that their first choice. It's only when there's no option, of course. Too narrow or too vague problem should be avoided. Is when picking a topic of research or a project topic. Too narrow a subject, too vague a subject or problem should be avoided. Three, the subject selected for research should be familiar. Who is that? The subject selected for research should be familiar and feasible. The subject selected should for the research should be familiar and visible so that the related research material subjects of the research are within the reach of researcher. Yes, your subject must be familiar. You cannot do a research on Ethiopia when you don't have material from Ethiopia to work with. You must choose a topic that you can get material to work. A researcher must know his or her strength before selecting a research problem. Answer to the following question may help to understand visibility of the problem. You must understand your strength. You must understand if you are not too good in statistics, you must not choose a research topic that would involve a lot of statistical data analysis. A, is he well equipped in terms of background of the research carrying out? Does the study falls within the budget he can afford? Even money too. If the research work will involve so much money and you might need to. When I was in the university, my first degree project topic was mechanization of an incubator. Why did I choose that topic? Let me tell you. I chose that topic because before I gained admission to the university, I love rearing of what animals. So I had chickens in my house. So I love it. So when I already have knowledge on how to incubate eggs. So, but I studied mechanical engineering. So eventually I now said, oh, how can I improve an incubator from the normal electrical incubator we have to a dual energy based with an automatic switching mechanism. So what I was trying to do was to fuse mechanical engineering to agriculture because I already have a background in that chicken rearing, and it was a lovely project. We were able to build an incubator that uses two energy dual source, like a dual energy source, and has an automated switching mechanism because of my engineering background in school and my poultry background before I gain admission. So you must look at your background, your what is your strength. It helps you to write. You can see even at this point, I'm still talking about my project. You know how many years ago? Why? Because I chose a topic that I had so much stress. So I can tell you everything about my project, my first. I'm not even talking about my master's or my PhD project now. I'm talking about my first degree long time ago because I chose a project topic that I love and very, very bad. So let's look at techniques involved in defining problem. Defining and formulating a research problem is more important than its solution. A well-defined research problem can guide to collect data methodology, exploring relation between variables. Hence, the research problem should be defined in a systematic manner, giving due weight tag to all relating topics. The techniques for the purpose involve undertaking the following step, generally one after the other. If you want to identify the problem, it's very, very important at the solution because if you do not identify the problems you want to solve, there won't be solution to it. There won't be solution to it. There won't be solution to it. Ken, I'm in a class now. I'm in a class. Maybe in the next 40 minutes I should be done. I'm in a class. Okay. So number one, statement of the problem in a general way. Understanding the nature of problems. These are steps to solving. Number three, surveying the available literature. Number four, developing the idea through discussion. Number five, rephrasing the research problem into a work proposition. These are steps you take to what to so let's look at an example. Go to chapter 3. Example of research problem: how to increase student attendance in class. You can see example of research: how to increase student attendance in class. Research question: why do students attend? Why do students attend in class? You want to increase. Look at it's a very big problem here because okay, let's look at how many of us are online now. 75 students are online out of 150 students that registered for this course. So it's a problem. Why do students attend in class? The main reason that students attend for attendance mark because it requires for sitting for the see. One of the major reasons why students want to come to class, apart from learning, is when we take strictly the attendance mark. You can see what Wike is doing in Port Harcourt now, right? Demolishing hotel. And everybody saying Wike is a bad man. Why will he demolish hotel? Nigerians, we are not used to what implementation of law. When a law, a regulation has been given ahead, hotels should not open. Why will people in Nigeria? So we can do research. Why is it that people do not respect rule of law in Nigeria? Why is it that Nigerians do not obey simple instruction? Why? Number one reason is because there is no penalty. We do not enforce penalty. Now it's strange when a building is demolished. It's strange to them. Why? It's too harsh. I'm not. You see, so I'm not saying this because I'm supporting Wiki or not, but we're only using this as an example towards what we are learning. So it helps know the problem and out. So let's look at number chapter 3 now, because we'll be a little bit fast in this. So let's say building what theory building. Research stands on sound theoretical basis and strong methodology, and intelligible customary of overall proposal recycling as philosophies of clarification of the deceptive dealing of assumed experimental wonders. So what good theory includes validation, that is facts, generalization, make prediction about future, replication, repeat with similar findings. These are three main. When you are building your body, you must prove validation, generalization, prediction. When you are building your concepts, when you are building. So let's look at this now. It provides a framework for analysis. When you do that, number two, it provides an efficient method for field development. Number three, it provides a clear explanation for the pragmatic word. You know, when you are building your topic, when you are writing your topic, building body now, building body, theory building. You are trying to convince. It's like a debate. You are trying to pass a message. You are trying to formulate so that at the end we understand your argument. That is what, and it must be done by what? Using validation, validity, generalization, and what? Prediction. Very, very important. So let's look at we have we have three there are three main activities involved with the process of theory building. One is conceiving a theory, that is adoption, constructing the theory, logical deduction, and justification or evaluating the theory, induction. So you conceive your theory. When you see theory X and theory Y, they are theories that were propounded by human beings. No theory came from heaven except the biblical or our religion book, which was even written by man. So you can formulate your theory. The first is conceive a theory. For example, we spoke about making attendance compulsory, mark, to encourage students to attend class. You can build a theory around that human naturally would not attend class except there is a reward system for it. At the time, people said you need to read, some of you need to read books. There's a book that said, which I do not believe, and I'm not preaching it to you guys because this is a research class and it deals with what? Cognitive reasoning. It deals with what? Cognitive reasoning. You must be able to reason, you must be able to write from your own perspective. I'm going to be giving you guys some example of how you should reason, because many of you do not do creative reasoning, which is required for researching. Now, conceiving a theory is the concept of what thinking, the concept of thought, the concept of building ideas as it relates to a particular deduction. Now, so when we say that students do not go to class because the exam was attendance mark is not made compulsory, then you can build a theory around that. To have students naturally would not go to class except there's a reward system. So I said something that the concept of religion, some what is it called, some researcher came up. I'm not asking you guys to say this because as a Christian I'm not supposed to, but I believe we have mature mind. Some researcher came up and said that the concept of religion was built to make human behave, to restrict human behavior, because every human being, most human beings unconsciously would only do good when there's a reward for it. When there is no reward for doing good, many persons will not do good. Yes, many persons unconsciously would only do good when there's a tag price to it. So the concept of heaven or hell, according to the research, I'm not saying you guys should don't believe it, please, is to curtail human behavior on health. So when human believes that there is an after death reward, then they are going to behave well on it. Some persons have argued that. So if you are looking at that direction, which is not true, this is a research class, so we have to think, then you should know you can conceive a theory, construction of the theory, logical deduction. Now logically deducting, through logical thinking, creatively, justifying that theory. These are three ways, all three of what process of building your body. So I will be looking at theory construction. We'll talk about what? Induction, deduction, and what? Adoption. Remember? Where did we get this thing? Theory for construction. Remember, we just discussed it here now. Adoption, deduction, and what? Induction. Theory for what? Construction. Induction, particular to what? General. Deduction, general to what? Particular. Adoption. Adduction is what? Form a form of logical interference which goes from an observation to a theory which accounts for the observation. You can see the building. Let's look at the building of what? Theory. Let's look at this diagram. The building of theory. You can see deduction process, induction process, abduction. Statement of association model. Look at it here. Categorization based upon attributes of phenomena. Observed, described, measure. This writing constructs itself. You can see this diagram that shows you how it developed. Let's look at the second diagram here. Based on specific conceptual framework will be built. Okay, in case of study, there must be research questions which need to justify by both statements of problem and literature review. We're looking at that. Okay, let's look at that now. The theory, look at this place. The theory of practice from deduction to what? Induction. Deduction general to particular, deduction, induction. You see the theory of practice also can move from what? Induction to deduction. You can apply theory. You can confirm the theory, conceptualization of the theory, using it. How does it work? Logical workability. Yeah, you can see the way. So you can apply the theory, thinking and logically. Operation, after conceptualizing, you can operationalize. For example, if we that no man will do good except for doing good, then let us operational. We want to now operationalize. We cannot confirm it. Oh yes, it truly works. Man now do good only because there's a reward to do good. Confirm, then we can apply because that's been confirmed. Simple. That is a simple word breakdown of how building body for a research topic to solve the problem. We're going to be looking at the taxonomy of theoretical contribution for empirical article. The taxonomy of theoretical contributions for empirical articles. So we are going to be looking at this. The word taxonomy in this context means what? The steps, the terminologies, which is needed to what? To contribute empirical. Empirical is what? Statistical what? Write-up. So we will be looking at it. Well, if you are looking at science, you can say taxonomy is a branch of science concerned with classification and what? Classification and of organism. But when it comes to research, the classification of something, especially maybe a scheme of classification. So when we say the taxonomy of theoretical contribution, you can also say that the what? The classification of what? Theoretical contribution for empirical article. Let's see. Introduction of new construct, examination of previous. If there's previous what's it called? Hypothesis, you can examine it. Introduction of a new mediator or moderator of an existing relationship of process. What this is telling you that you can take references of similar work to examine them, examine effects that have been the subject of pure. You can examine the effects. Let's start from 1 year. 1 year. Look at the graphical and it's showing the relationship now. Attempts to replicate previous demonstrated effects. You can attempt building body. Look at what the topic we're talking about. Somebody else has written about it before. Examine effects that have been the subject of prior theoretical. What has happened before? What is the effect? Introduce new mediator or moderator of an existing. You can introduce new concepts, new mediator, something that would make what has been said before. You are moving into. Look at the guy that won the Nobel Prize. I think year 2000, a Japanese guy who disapproved the law of relativity about instinct, which is known as the most intelligent man ever lived. The law he propounded was disproved by a young scientist in Japan. And he said that is the law of relativity. E is equal to mc squared. He said E is not equal to mc squared, but rather E is equal to mc raised to power mc squared, not squared, mc raised to power n, which n is a function of 1 to infinity, which depends on the energy level at which the energy level, because we have orbit system and the energy level. For science to understand that, what the guy did was to build upon what the guy did was to build upon what instincts have done. So what you can do at this point is to introduce a mediator or a moderator, like move from where the last person stopped to a new, like a sequence. Don't totally discard the concept, but you are progressing. So example of previous unexplored relationship or process. Then introduce a new construct here. You can see the progressive fork. So let's look at the horizontal table now. Is induction or grand prediction with logical is inductive or grand prediction with logical speculation. 2. Grand prediction with reference to past finding. Grand prediction with reference to past finding. Grand prediction with existing conceptual arguments. Grand prediction with existing model, diagram, or figure. Grand prediction with existing theory. So these are testing existing theory, while this one is building how to build new theory. Reporter, builder. Reporter is materials that are used. Qualifier, very good. Validity, expander, you can expand it once it's qualified. Tester. So you should understand what this statement means. Reporter is reference work that are reported works. Qualifier from the subject that you have, this build that you are building, your work. Subject that you have taken. Qualifier means validity, those that pass and those that you are rejecting. So once you're able to pick, or once you're able to define, or you have created your arguments, then expander. You can see you expand it. This region here is what high theoretical contribution, while this place is low theoretical contribution. But at this point, you are still trying to find your ground. Tester, you test not all the hypotheses, but those that have been confirmed valid, those are being proven to be valid. So this is a very good table that can help you understand so many things. And we believe if you will also go take your time. I'm going to be sending this material to you guys so that many of you also can go through the material. You can go through the material. The question I'm going to be giving to you guys at this point will be the question of creative thinking. I gave it to the master's students, and I want to give it to you guys too. I'll be typing it out. But before then, let me finish chapter 3 quickly because we do not have enough time. We have other classes with. Criteria for good theory. A good theory has to include 3 criteria: generality, integration, and what thickness. Generality intended to apply to all relevant cases, both all those that have been observed and all that could be observed. Integration, a generalization must be integrated into a systemic set of other laws, a theory in order to truly general, to be truly general. Thickness involve many intertwined variables with effects that are conditional on time and place. Only a complex theory can begin to approximate the richness of reality. Thickness, reality, validity, those goes in like so. In our next class, we'll be looking at literature review. From there, we will move because now we've been able to establish to us the how to establish and know the problem to your research work. Your literature review, we have to look at it together. It's a very lengthy one. We'll be looking at it. And we also have looked at how you can build your body. Then we also look at questionnaire and data processing, which is also chapter 5. You need it. Questionnaire and data processing. We'll be looking at these two topics in your next class. You can see now we are now going into the class itself. So we're looking at questionnaire and data processing. Then then our last class will be having other topics which are also here. This material I'm going to be sending it across because now we are collecting all the materials from all lecturers so that we can send them to students. You can have access to it and study more by yourself so that you help to get more understanding. So this is my assignment. Let me quickly give you guys my assignment before my time goes off. Identify identify 5 problems. Let me call it research problem to the following statement. 5 research problem each to the following research statements. Number 1, implementation of policies and regulations in Nigeria. What is the research problem with this? Number 2, these are just, I'm only giving you guys some skeletal framework to help you understand the whole. So this is not how your project topic should look like. This is a question. Identify 5 research problems to the following statements. Girl child education in Africa. COVID-19 pandemic. You see, I'm writing this in brief. You should identify. I don't want to write. Normally, I would have said the poor or the very low the very poor or low statistics of girl child education in Africa. And that is giving you an answer. Oh, poor. You should know. What I want you to do is this: girl child education. I want to first, you have to tell me if it is encouraging the statistics or not. Then what is the problem? Implementation of policies and regulation in Nigeria, is it okay or not? It's not okay. So what are the research problems? COVID-19 pandemic, economy globally, what is the problem to this? And if you want to make this a topic, what problems are you looking at solving? So this is identify 5 each, and you send your answers to at Gmail. Unifoundation@gmail.com. I believe you guys can see this. Let me expand it a little. Identify 5 research problems to the following statement. 1. Implementation of policies and regulation in Nigeria. 2. Girl child education in Africa. 3. COVID-19 pandemic. Send your answers to Unique Foundation at Unique Foundation. The Unique Foundation is uniquefoundation@gmail.com. Uniquefoundation@gmail.com. I think uniquefoundation@gmail.com. So I'm going to be pasting it, and Mr. Yomi will forward it to you guys. In case there's any mistake here, say time up. So please, I've sent it to you, Mr. Yomi. So please let me forward it to them. I know my time is up, so they can copy it out. Thank you all for your time. We'll meet you guys next time. God bless you.